early, that's why you're not asking any questions. I know what this is all about. It's Friday class, I see how this is going. All right, lesson 8, enter and pay bills. So we touched on this quite a bit actually yesterday when we were talking about the vendor center. So now we're gonna do some practical application for entering and paying bills. So we'll start with a video. After we spoke kind of about vendor center yesterday, did anybody have any questions having to do with kind of the vendor center? That's the first part, is knowing what goes in the vendor center, and then we'll do the how to enter the bills, how to pay the bills on this section. But anything to do with the vendor center that we need to review before we dive into this chapter? Well, let's watch the video for entering and paying bills. And we need to, there's one part that's not in your book, there's not a lot to do with POs, so I made a note to remind me to go over that with you. And here. I feel like this is the right video, but I can't see the title, so I'm gonna make a 50-50 shot. There we go, that's the right one.
Step 1, enter a bill. Remember, your vendor calls what they send you an invoice, but you enter it as a bill. Step 2, pay the bill. Note, if you enter the bill, do not use write checks to pay the bill. You must use the pay bills window. Let's look at a bill. Enter who sent you the bill. That's the vendor. Tell QuickBooks the date, the amount of the bill, and make sure the due date is correct. We recommend you enter the vendor's invoice number here. Next, use expenses or items to tell QuickBooks what you bought. Remember, use items for inventory or job-related costs. Save and close the bill, and step 1 is complete. A few weeks later, you are ready for step 2,
Hello.
paying bills.
Sorry.
No, you're
Bills you've entered appear
You
here.
got me over here.
Okay.
Use these fields to control which bills you see and in what order. And paying bills could be easier. Just click here to pay a bill. To make a partial payment, just change the
I
amount.
saw you looking at me.
Finally, use this payment area to tell QuickBooks the date, method of payment, and which bank account to use. QuickBooks even tells you how much money you'll have left after paying bills. Click Pay Selected Bills. QuickBooks creates the bill payment checks for you and provides a summary of what you've paid. Print the checks, and you're done. Enter and pay bills to keep track of what you owe.
All right, so that's a good overview. Now, if you have less than 10 bills in a month and you're not doing job costing, you don't have to use the accounts payable feature. But most instances in this industry, you are going to use the accounts payable. You are going to enter the bill and then at a later date pay the bill as a means of managing cash flow and also getting the job cost onto the job even before you've paid the bill. Because of course, if you do any job costing reports and you pull it on accrual basis, if you've gotten the bill, even if it's not due yet, it shows up on the job costing report because you've received the bill from the vendor. And of course, they're expecting payment at some point in the future, so we can go ahead and job cost that. So that being said, we will pick up, page 8 tells us how to enter the bill. And as he demonstrated and as we looked at yesterday, very simple, we're gonna just follow along with whatever is given to us from the vendor. The only decision we have to make is what is the name of the accounting account. And of course, because we're job costing, we need to add the customer there. It will not be billable unless you're doing direct billing, as in you buy the item, sell the item, that kind of scenario. Most of the time, you're buying the materials and you're selling it as part of a larger contract. So we need to fill in all those fields. So a little bit of extra steps here if you're doing job costing, and of course if you're doing class tracking. If you aren't going to do class tracking, turn it off and then you don't ever have to fill in that field. The field won't be there at all if you need to turn it off. do that in your preferences as we learned yesterday. So that's entering the bill, page 8. Paying the bill, I just want to show you a few shortcuts. The pay bill screen is very user-friendly. If, however, you've gotten a bill in and you say, you know what, I've got to pay, I'm not paying all the bills today, but I do need to pay that Bay Shore water bill, because I'm a month behind, there's actually 2 bills, okay? I can just put in that vendor, hit tab, and it's only going to show me the bills for that vendor. So when you're dealing, sometimes there might be a place that, you know, they send you 7 or 8 bills over, you know, you've got an account with them or whatever, and they keep sending an invoice. And then now at the end of the month, you're going to pay all of the little tiny invoices into one payment. It's really nice to filter it by that one vendor, and then you can just simply check those off. If you are using printable checks, the payment method will be check, and you'll say to be printed. You'll put the first check number in, and then if you're doing 10 checks, it will just number the rest of them in sequence. If you handwrite your checks, you just say assign check number, and then there'll be a screen that will pop up, and as you write the checks, you'll type in what number you used for your handwritten check. You do also have the option to pay via credit card, which has kind of become a norm. A lot of places now, you go to their website or fill it out, and they'll charge your card. So if it's been paid via credit card, you just need to select the right account there, and then pay selected bill. Of course, it won't prompt you for a check number because you selected credit card. Very user-friendly screen. You do have, you know, so in instances where you're not going to pay the bill in full, but you are going to send a partial payment, you can change the amount to pay over here, put in whatever payment amount you like. And then, of course, the next time you go into your pay bill screen, whatever you short paid, it will tell you that that's the amount you still owe, and you can make, you know, pay the difference. So if you have anything you're going to make payments on, you know, or like we said, if you've got a vendor that you get supplies from, you know, the lumberyard or Buxley or whomever, you know, you get a lot of supplies from, but you're going to pay them based on when you got paid for the job, you can simply go here, pull up the bills and say, okay, well, they sent me one bill for $15,000, but that had materials for 2 different jobs on it. So I'm going to pay half of it because that's the, you know, whatever the amount it was for the job that you've gotten paid for, and you're going to send them payment. So great method there for keeping track of what you owe, particularly when you're going to make a partial payment or something like that. You don't have to write it all over the invoice, you know, cross through, well, I paid this, and then put it back into your payables. Then you got to make a copy of it because it's got to go with your paid bills, but it's also got to go with your unpaid bills. And we've all done it, so QuickBooks helps us to stay a little more organized in that regard, and so that's 10 and 11. 12 is going to show you where it's going to put it into your register. Register just like any other account, balance sheet account in QuickBooks. And believe it or not, we are to another quiz. So we will take this quiz. I did forewarn you yesterday that today moves a lot faster, right? Did I give you all the warning? All right. Whew. So short quiz, let's do 2 minutes, and then we will do our review questions for this area, and then we'll break for lunch.